All right. Hello, everyone. Good to have you here. Hello, Mohammed. Good to have you here. Paul's going to dive into dealing with basically combining photos. I don't know if you saw recently, if you're joining me on Twitter, basically Adobe Research along with, is it UC Berkeley? Talks about, UC Berkeley. We can detect facial manipulations. So I think that's pretty fascinating. That's just an aside, but basically all about, since we're going to talk about combining photos in a realistic way, we're also developing technology so we know when photos are manipulated. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Hello, Felicia. Good to have you here. Stanton as well. Hello from Germany. Klaus is in the house. San Diego as well. So with everyone here, we'll just kind of go ahead and switch gears and jump into what you can see here, right? Here's currently like what I have and kind of what I'm working on today. Kind of want to continue this and kind of start from scratch and show you how you can just make some fun, realistic scenes. I'll open up this final, but how do you combine these, different photos is the goal. You can see them all right here, okay? So that's what we're going to do today. Natalie, Natalie might be how I say that, from Israel. Muad from Morocco. Fantastic. So if we are good to go, I want to dive into this. So thank you so much for joining me. My name is Paul Tranny. Please feel free to hit the share button and all that fun stuff. The like button just helps me out a lot. But you can see right here, these are some of the elements that I'm going to be dealing with, right? Because it just looks... This scene right here just looks very much like, it would just be cool to see like a big whale come out of the mist here, okay? So hopefully that works for you. Johnny H, hello. I'm glad you look forward to these. I really appreciate it. But these are the different photos I have. I have like one here. This is the one I used. I have this one here. Again, they all just kind of have a cool look. I'm going to end up with something like that, okay? So, and maybe I will kind of maybe start with this image, but really start with the whale I want to use, okay? So here we are. Victor in the house. Yes, Victor, this is worth the price of admission right here. So all I need to do, sure, I can use sort of the quick selection tool to try to select this whale. All I really need to do is, let's just deselect that. Let's just select subject right up here at the top. So feel free to hit subscribe if you're joining me on YouTube, but I'm also on Facebook and everywhere else. But select subject, no hands mode, right? My hands are right here. It selects this subject automatically. Again, this is a pretty clear object, so I knew when to use select subject. And I can always go in and clean this up if I want to as well, just like adding right here, maybe subtracting right down there a little bit, but I'd say that's pretty darn good. So what do I do from there? Well, I just come over here, layers panel, right here. I would then go ahead and make this a layer mask. So boom, just like that. What that does is it gives me this layer mask and isolates just that object that I have selected. It doesn't delete the other pixels, but now I'm ready to go. Okay, some other things I can do, by the way, check this out. I'm going to do this really fast just for kicks. I'm just going to apply this layer mask. You also can use something like Puppet Warp. And let me actually just go ahead and hit this key. Let's take these two characters right over here, right? Go full screen. Here he is. We have him selected, and we can start dropping him in here. I did want to point this out really fast. If I want to, say, warp this object a little further, I can. There's Puppet Warp. So from there, it's going to create this mesh, and then I can start to add pins right in here. So if I don't like the whale going that direction, maybe I can bend it so it's going, say, downward like that. Again, I can add more pins if I want more control. But again, if I wanted potentially two whales, I can have one right here, our original, that's going up, and then our other one that's kind of moving down. So I could have two of them, which might look kind of cool. Another thing I typically do is convert this to a smart object because I want to protect all these pixels. Hopefully that works for you. So Sunava, convert to smart object. What does that do? Zoop, can you see that? It says, hey, I'm a smart object. I got a little page right there. I'm like a Photoshop file existing inside of a Photoshop file as well, as I type in whale, as well. There we are. I can do the same thing for this one. Convert to smart object. I have my two whales, and I can continue working. All right, fantastic. Hello from India. All right, so good. Having so awesome people. So many people here. Again, I think I'm going to go with these. You'll notice immediately that there's some blue in here, in these particular whales, and obviously I want to fix that, right? So what do? Let's just kind of focus on this first one because I can add a couple different things. I could add the color, color balance is actually what I want to do. So, I accidentally selected the wrong thing. Changed color balance. Okay, because I want to balance out these colors. Instead of all this blue, maybe I want to give it more yellow because there happens to be more yellow in this scene. And by the way, what's happening here is it's actually affecting the whole scene, as you can see. It's affecting the whole scene. I don't really want that. What I want to do is just affect, you know, the whale. So that's when, right in here, I make this a clipping mask. You familiar with this, hopefully? Warafat, good to have you here from Thailand. So many new names that I've not seen before. So I'm so happy to have you here. I could do a right click and create clipping mask. Okay, so it's just going to clip it to that file, that layer below it. Shortcut I just do is hold down the Option key and click. And you can see that it's just affected that one layer. Okay. You now know the fundamentals of creating realistic scenes in Photoshop, which is all about masking, create layer masks, clipping masks, and then now we can start to manipulate these colors. Okay, so I can make this maybe a little bit more yellow. By the way, I have not played with this at all, by the way. This is live. I just want you to know that I'm not, you know, I mocked up this other one here earlier, right? But that's an entirely different scene. And I'm showing you how you can get to that point. Okay. I like kind of presenting myself with like new challenges, right? So typically I'll do a color balance. I'll see what else this needs. What else this could use is hue and saturation. Kind of want to take down the saturation of that object, clipping it, and just, again, you can see I can take down that saturation like so. Couple other ways we could do that as well. This just seems really easy. And you can always watch this later as well across multiple channels. Okay, so I think what's going to be really cool about this, if this whale right here looks like it's coming out of, like, from behind the trees there, okay? So this is going to be kind of hard. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so bear with me if you could. Cool. T. Nguyen from Toronto. Good to have you here as well. Muriel as well. Hello from Pakistan. Somebody has a Muse question. I'll have to talk about that later. Oftentimes it means creating a layer sandwich. So what I have over here, and I'll just hide this other stuff. Just hide that other stuff. Focus on this. So this is basically my background. My background. I beat up my keyboards, and sometimes the keys don't work. So I'm creating this layer sandwich. So I have this background right here in front and one behind. I could try the same thing, and I encourage you to just select a selection tool and then select subject. Let's just see what happens there, by the way, because this is much different than the other whale. You can see what it does. It doesn't do the greatest job in this case. I might be better off trying to select this a couple other ways. which again, this is not going to be easy. That is not going to be easy. Let's try. There's a couple different ways I could use channels. But this, maybe this blue channel, could I use this blue channel to select? Some people will do this. This works out pretty well. I would go to the channels panel. Okay, so that's where I'm at now, in the channels panel. Okay. And right up here, you can see I can actually click on each one to see what it looks like. Red, green, blue. We notice the most contrast with the blue channel, okay? So with that being said, I can hold down the Command key and click, and it will just select all those blue elements. So all I'm doing is just selecting, using this as a way to select, using the channels panel. From there, again, just making this brush a little larger, starting to, hopefully I'm removing. There we go. Wait for it. Wait for it. Undo. There we go. So it selected the background. I'm just selecting add. I'm selecting the background. So I'm using just the quick selection tool right over here and just deselecting things. The only things I need to really be concerned about are these trees in the front. This one and then this one. Okay, so with that done, I can go over here to my layers panel, go to that top layer, right? And then I can click layer mask. All right, so let's go back to channels. And that is currently what I have. So let's adjust the contrast there. And let's move this around. Okay. Okay, so I've selected some elements here. I need to invert this. There we go. Boom, inverted it. I've selected the background, okay? So can you see that? I'm getting rid of that. I've selected the background now. See, this is what it does, by the way. Let me just go ahead and adjust my panel options so you can see everything a little better. Look at this. This is the selection I made with the channel, and then I added some more selections using quick select. But basically, this is the mask I used thanks to the channels panel, and it's masking out that layer right there. And you can see that it does a wonder for it. So it's right there, and then it obviously pushes it sort of behind everything else, right? So I think that works pretty well. I can turn on my other whale. The other whale actually needs to be tinted the same colors. This is another pro tip. Are you ready for this? Hi, Tom. Are you ready for this? This is so exciting. In this case, rather than adding hue and these two to this layer, what I can do is I can take both of these, put them into their own layer group, okay? And now I can have this group called whales. And then I can clip this to that layer group. Now everything in here is going to be tinted those colors. As I zoom back out, you can see it does the obvious. Okay? So again, it's basically affecting both of those. And I can move them any way I want. You could use Hatam, great question. You can use a brush to create different effects as well. Because maybe I do want to, for this tail, maybe I want to fade it out. I can add a layer mask, and I could use a brush, and I could just use this standard, whoop, switch it, boop, you know, kind of fade that out. But I would use a brush anytime I want to have these trees. If I wanted to simulate branches and I wanted to remove, that's typically what I'd use it for. But already I'd say that looks pretty good. So far so good. It was pretty simple, as you can see, and I can still move these whales around to get any sort of result I like. But I actually like this. Let's take a look at some other objects. I happen to have a bunch of fish. Let's take this school of fish right here. And again, if you are just joining me, we're all about creating these. Let's put these fish up in the front, right? They're going to be, they're all in a group. I can size them down. By the way, if I want to make more, I can do that. You can see the fish right in here. I can select that fish. Just hold down the Option key and I can make a couple more. I can resize them. Typically what I'd want to do in this situation, oh yeah, I'm clicking on all the smaller fish while holding down the Command and Shift key. So it selects all the smaller fish in the Layers panel. Now I can just adjust the opacity of those smaller fish because I want them to look like they're further away. Okay, so I'm just adjusting the opacity of those fish like that. Okay, we kind of have the same issue where I want to add maybe more green. So we're going to try this. We're going to add a new color balance, just like we did before. And rather than all this magenta, I'm going to add this as a clipping mask. So it's just going to affect those fish, but you can see that's what it's doing. I'm just changing the color of these fish. Okay, so again, more magenta. They need to be maybe a little bit more green, and I just typically play with this like so. Another pro tip that I'll show for you is I will sometimes take the background. The background has all the colors I need, okay? Let's get rid of that, actually. Let's do this, boop. And I don't know if I'm the only one that does this, but here's the background, okay? And I want to use a lot of these colors from the background. So I'll take this background and maybe I'll just add a blur to it. A little blur, Gaussian blur. I'm just blurring out the background. And I'll sometimes do this. I'll just use the background just to get the colors. Now watch this. I'm going to put this background on top of the fish. The fish seemingly have disappeared, but now I can work with some layer blend modes. So I can say, hey, for that background that's now on top, go ahead and just kind of cycle through those colors. And maybe I'll get some nice options. Typically overlay will work, or even soft light. But I'm just trying to get a splash of that color on those fish. And soft light looks a little dark. Let me know if you have questions. I see hello from Germany, very informative. Nice, this is amazing. That's always good to hear. I'm also happy to answer questions. See what it does there? It just matches the hue of this particular scene. But that's all I'm doing is trying to pick up the color of that background. Hard light works pretty well. But in general, what I'm noticing is there's more contrast on these fish as well. So not only are we dealing with color, we need to be worried about the contrast, right? So maybe what I need to do is add another adjustment layer. We'll go into brightness and contrast. We'll just take the contrast down for these fun little fisharooskies. Right there. Taking that contrast down. See, up, down. You can see when I take it down, it just kind of knocks off that edge. Same thing as this background right here. Let's take the opacity down. That even works out great. Look at that. Let's go with that. That looks pretty good. I could spend more time on it. Typically, maybe I'll even drop down the opacity, but I'm just trying to make it look like there's a little school of fish right down there beneath them. And obviously, those school of fish are super huge compared to those whales. We'll just put them down there like that and make them kind of subtle, like so. One more thing I'm going to do, just thanks so much for bearing with me. I'm going to come in here, I'll select water. I have some other scenes right in here. Maybe I want to grab something that's kind of fun, that has a cool water look to it, like this one. Underwater world, right? What do I want to use here? I want to use some of those fish. Wait for it, wait for it. It's make sure everything is okay there. I think I might have moved something. Ah. There we go. Okay, so got that fixed. Here's this new layer that I've just added in, right? Come in here, add a layer mask. B for brush, get rid of this stuff down here, and maybe I just use the top part somehow. So that's what I'm going to do, taking that up to 100. Let's just see what happens. Again, just going through some of these blend modes. I'll probably go to hue. Hue and saturation. Take down the saturation of that like that. Make sure it's clipped to that layer. And start to work on maybe even some of these blend modes. Okay, I'm going to shift the color in a second, but I'm just getting a splash of that water at the top to kind of blend these two scenes together is all I'm doing, just so you know. That actually looks really cool to just set that way. I still have some of that blue in there, but look what it's done. It's actually thrown that up there. I can move this up, and now we get some of those fish kind of around those whales. So again, this is all about creating artwork just for fun. The size of this artwork is, I don't know. All I'm going to do is post this to Instagram, but currently it's 300 DPI, so it's probably even large enough to print. Okay, but this is my final scene. I want to be respectful of your time. A lot of times I'll actually, just to kind of finish this up really fast, I will add right over here, a color lookup. Okay, so just add a cool color cast to this. Basically, it's like adding Instagram filters. How do you preview blend modes? All you need to do is just with that layer selected, it's brand new in Photoshop CC 2019. You just roll over, boop, 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 and you get to preview all of them that way. So super easy. I liked soft light in this case. Going back to color lookup, we'll go ahead and change this to a 2-strip look. See what it does there? Hopefully everybody's seeing this. Let's make this larger. Make sure you can see this in all its glory, right? This color 2-strip look, the 3-strip look, I typically absolutely love. See, look what it does there. I'm not even sure what it does, but it kind of punches up all the colors. It just looks actually just like really cool, okay? By the way, as I look at this some more, this is going to happen a lot. You're going to come back to your drawing and realize that maybe you need to just make some adjustments. And that's what I want to do here. B for brush, take that down, take the flow down. I'm just going to I'm adding more. I want to be able to see more of these whales. So I'm actually painting them in more right here, as you can see. See, that looks better, right? Looks a little more realistic. Whoop, not right there though. Kind of like that. Fantastic, right? What are those whales just floating in the sky? Yeah, they are. Back to color lookup. I can go through these all day long. I know which ones that tend to look good. Is the 3-strip look I like a lot. But feel free to go through all of these if you want to. I can go to drop blues. That obviously takes out all the blues. Go to fall colors. It's going to give us more of a warm tint, which kind of makes it look dusty. So I'm not crazy about that one either. We can dive into foggy night, which also gives it a very like moody look as well. So again, this one might be kind of cool too. I don't know what you think. I do not know what you think. I would love to hear what you think about all this. Again, just different options. Color, I have foggy night. Man, it's so nice. This one adds more contrast. I think I lose a little bit of detail with that one. So just enjoy kind of clicking through and seeing which ones work here. I don't even know. It just looks so good. I don't know what to pick. But I think I'll end up with the maybe the 3-strip look. Or even that one. Either way, thank you, Victor. Thank you, Jorge. I hope you appreciate this as we go full screen. Again, just to recap some final tips for compositing, or, you know, bringing two photos together to making them look realistic. A lot of times you want to... My contrast was pretty good. The contrast between the photos was pretty good. Sometimes you'll get a washed out photo and then you'll get a high contrast photo, and you need to work on the brightness and contrast of those particular photos. You need to make sure the blacks match up, the whites match up. These kind of already matched up pretty well, so I just had to go into color balance and start to play with it that way. So after cutting them out, I used, as you can see, color balance and maybe pulled out some of the color using hue and saturation, and that was it. So that's what I have for you, and would love to, of course, hear from you and continue this conversation. Stanton and Jose and Jermaine as well, Victor, Sukailin. I'm going to post this to my Instagram as well. You can see right down here. That's where I'm going to post it. So let me know what you think, or if you think it sucks. Yeah, all right. So, but love to hear your opinions and everything. So thanks so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram, PTRANI, and that's where I'll post it. Thanks, everybody. Have a beautiful day. I really appreciate you. And go make some gorgeous images and be nice to one another. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.